Today's story brings us into the heart of a tragic incident that unfolded beneath the surface of the Caribbean waters. It's a story that goes beyond the realms of the strange, dark, and mysterious. It's a sobering account of a scuba diving operation turned catastrophic. Before we embark on this tale, a word of caution. The events to be discussed are deeply distressing, and viewer discretion is strongly advised. We delve into the fateful day that forever altered the lives of a group of professional divers, unraveling an unsettling sequence of events that demands reflection and understanding. Let us navigate through the depths of this tragic story, learning lessons from an unimaginable underwater tragedy that unfolded. On February 25, 2022, Christopher Boudram, a 36-year-old father of three, embarked on a routine day in Pointe-a-Pierre, Trinidad, where he resided. A professional scuba diver with over a decade of experience, Christopher's daily commute led him to Paria Fuel, a government-owned oil and gas company located just minutes away from his home. Christopher worked for LMCS, a renowned diving company. His responsibilities centered on maintaining the integrity of Paria's fuel underwater pipelines, which were crucial for the company's oil transport operations. Unlike his routine, this particular day held a unique task: the revival of an inactive pipeline, berth number 6. This pipeline, untouched since 2018, posed an intriguing challenge. Christopher and his 4 colleagues, Fyzal Kurban, Yusuf Henry, Kazim Ali Jr, and Rishi Nagassar, familiar faces and close friends, were assigned the job. Little did they know that this routine task would lead to a harrowing experience. The inactive pipeline, designed like a colossal U-shape beneath the ocean's surface, had 2 vertical sections protruding above the water. The U-shaped pipeline between the area where an oil tanker would pull up to offload its oil is called berth 5, and the area where the oil enters the refinery is called berth 6. The divers would need to separate the pipe from the ocean water to access the areas that needed repair. To achieve this, they employed a special habitat or diving bell, an 8-foot by 8-foot cube structure designed to displace water when air is blown inside, creating a dry space and allowing divers to work comfortably underwater without the constraints of their diving gear. Once air was pumped in to push out the water, the men could stand on the ledge to do their tasks. Inside this hyperbaric chamber, they could take off their diving gear and use tools for intricate repairs and maneuvers. As a team, one of their tasks was the removal of an inflatable plug at berth 6, inserted 2 weeks earlier to protect the oil contents of the pipeline and prevent hydrocarbons from escaping. This seemingly straightforward task was set to take an unexpected turn that would plunge the divers into a life-threatening situation. As the divers gathered around the pipe, preparing to remove the plug, they had no idea of the imminent danger. The inflatable plug was supposed to separate 1,200 barrels of oil from the air and ocean water around it. In a routine scenario, the air pressure in the habitat would press down on a heavy column of oil, settling it between the 2 pipe openings at berths 5 and 6. Unfortunately, an unnoticed column of air under the plug, combined with less oil in the pipe than expected, led to a horrifying vacuum phenomenon known as delta P. The moment the plug was deflated, high-pressure air from the habitat rushed down the pipe with unprecedented force, pulling the divers, their tools, and scuba tanks into the 30-inch pipeline. The habitat pressure release triggered a violent influx of ocean water, creating a swirling force similar to the world's strongest vacuum that engulfed the divers in a chaotic dance of air, water, and tools. The GoPro video camera, attached to one of the divers' suits, documented the surreal moments just before they were sucked into the abyss. The situation was horrifying, and the clock began ticking on their survival. In the dark, confined space of the pipeline, the divers fought for breath, disoriented and battered. Miraculously, they found themselves in a temporary air pocket within the horizontal section of the pipeline. The relief, however, was short-lived. Christopher Boudram vividly described the experience. "All I remember is going down the pipe at unbelievable speeds. I can't hold my breath any longer. It's pitch black. I can't see anything. Your eyes are burning, your ears are ringing, and your body is sore. The irony struck them. The very air pocket allowing them to breathe was the consequence of the swirling water tornado that brought them into the pipeline's depths. As they grasped for breath, the realization dawned that their only chance of survival lay in navigating a series of underwater sections that were flooded and treacherous. As the swirling water settled, the divers found themselves in a pocket of air within the pipeline. The GoPro footage captured the terrifying darkness, the sound of rustling and movement, and the shocking realization that they were alive. They shouted to each other within the pipe, the place that was supposed to be filled with crude oil, but now harbored a glimmer of hope in the form of an air pocket. The divers took a quick inventory, shouting back and forth to confirm that all 5 were inside the pipe together. Disoriented and battered, they faced the daunting challenge of comprehending their location within the 1,200-foot-long pipeline, as long as 4 football fields. The pipe had undulations at weld seams and supports, creating variations in elevation and allowing air pockets to form. They decided to link together and shuffle as a group toward one of the ends. The pipe was coated with thick, slippery oil sludge, and they struggled against the rising seawater level. The challenge was immense. Pitch-black darkness, compressed spaces, and the constant fear of running out of air. Each movement had to be deliberate, each breath carefully managed as they slowly progressed, propelled by the push of their heels against the pipeline walls. The survivors, clinging to the hope of reaching the surface, faced flooded sections where they could only continue by holding their breath. An hour into their ordeal, they encountered a shocking problem. The seawater level was rising. Holding their heads above water, they realized the first in line was only 6 inches from the top of the pipe. Some were seriously injured and wouldn't be able to move much longer. Christopher Boudram and Kazim Ali, the leaders of the group, decided to hold their breath and search for another pocket of air, promising to return with help for everyone. Their struggle led them to a second air pocket, closer to the riser pipe that might lead them out. To their relief, they found 2 scuba tanks in this section, providing the means to escape. However, Kazim's injuries hindered their progress. The decision was made for Christopher to take what was left of the oxygen and make a swim for the end of the pipe to get help. In a narrow 2.5-foot tube, Christopher pushed forward with the tank in front of his body. As he reached the riser end, a frightening thought struck him. What if this was berth 5 and not berth 6? Swimming up nearly 60 feet, he risked running into an inflated plug with no air and an almost empty tank. He said a prayer and pushed off the bottom, making his way to the surface. After more than 2 hours in the pipe, Christopher emerged at the top of the oily water at berth 6. He banged and screamed, desperate to get the attention of the ship team. A searcher finally found him and helped him climb out with a chain. Overwhelmed and exhausted, Christopher explained the situation. There were air pockets in the line, and all the men were still alive and needed help instantly. He was rushed to the hospital, leaving the divers hopeful that the rest of them would be rescued too. Despite attempts to communicate with the trapped men, tapping on the pipe yielded no response. The divers waited for a rescue that never came. This caused the debate surrounding the actions taken by LMCS, Paria Fuel, Heritage, LMCS's sister company, and the Coast Guard. Claims that Paria prevented divers from entering the pipe to save the men are countered by assertions that there was no viable plan without risking more lives. Many people agreed that banging sounds were allegedly heard from inside the pipe for nearly 48 hours before stopping. Autopsies were performed, but the exact cause and time of death remain uncertain. It's evident that all the men survived until different times on Saturday, and some may have lasted until Monday. A commission of inquiry in Trinidad and Tobago aims to unveil the truth. The devastating reality is that these men, just a few hundred feet from salvation, experienced a no-rescue attempt that left them struggling in pain and attempting to move themselves to the exit. To conclude this distressing story, let us reflect on the final footage captured by one of the divers, Kazim, moments before the vacuum effect consumed their world. Viewer discretion is advised, as this video offers a glimpse into the horrifying speed at which everything inside the habitat was pulled into the pipeline, sealing the fate of those trapped within.